All right, you're watching the AM show. If you've just joined us, you missed the news, but we're onto the newspaper, so don't worry, you would catch up. I want to say good morning to somebody who's been sending us messages every day, really. Eric Mensa Oklu, who is in Akachi. Good morning to you, Eric. I hope you're well. Thank you for the compliments. But you say, happy birthday to my dear sister Marian Oklu of Accra. The Lord bless you and add more years to you. So Marian, your brother is wishing you a happy birthday. But I get confused because, you know, the picture, the DP that you have is not that of a man. So I always thought that this was a woman. Apparently not. Okay, but thank you. You can also send us messages, send us regular text messages, and send us WhatsApp messages as well. I'll share it with everybody else who is watching the show. I see that some of you are sending me some pictures. If you send me a picture or a video, I may not be able to download it immediately. I would have to look at it a bit later on. So let's do the newspapers now. Let's start off with the Daily Graphic newspaper, and on the front page, this a bit later on in the day yesterday became the biggest story for the rest of the day yesterday. Telcos given ultimatum, connect operations or face sanctions, and that's the communication minister making an appearance in Parliament and briefing parliamentarians. Of course, talking points out of that, quite a number of people disagreeing with that. Imani not particularly happy still, but that story is on page 3, and it was in our news. Story says that the Minister of Communications, Mrs. Esla Owusu-Ekofo, has given telecom operators 1 month to connect their operations to the common platform provided under the Kelvin GVG contract. She said everything was ready for all operators to become or to be connected, and warned that companies that fail to connect by the expiry date of June 11, 2018 would be sanctioned. That's not like a month's notice. That's less than that. Okay, also don't be local stars, strive for market value is also another front page headline. The Daily Graphic newspaper, that's call is coming from Dr. Daniel Macaulay, and the story itself is on page 24 and 25. It says Ghanaian businesses and entrepreneurs must not be content with their successes locally, but endeavor to make inroads into the global market. So take it from a man who's experienced it, who's been there, he's still there, and he's done it. Quotes, it is sad that no Ghanaian company is listed among the 100 most successful companies in Africa, in spite of the fact that they are winning awards locally, unquote. Dr. Daniel Macaulay, group chairman of the McDan Group of Companies, has said, and he was speaking to the Daily Graphic in Accra yesterday. So he went on to make an appeal to government to put in place policies that will help grow Ghanaian businesses into African giants to be able to compete globally. There's more of what he had to say in the center spread of the Daily Graphic newspaper. There's also another story in the center spread. Kufuor rules aging cocoa farmer population. That's also another story in the center spread. But back to the front page, there's another headline: maritime border dispute brews between Ghana and Togo. And this is so important. We want to spend a bit of time on this. In page 16, it says that a fresh maritime border dispute is brewing between Ghana and Togo over offshore oil exploration activities, the Petroleum Commission has confirmed. Togo had between December 2017 and May 2018 stopped 2 seismic vessels from Ghana from undertaking some activities to acquire data in the deep sea in the territory that approaches Togo. So following the resolution of the impasse between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire over maritime border demarcations, Togo has been claiming ownership of a maritime boundary that approaches that country. And it's more like we saw this coming because a lot of people had caution. And if you remember, Sam Okujeto is a man who did some great work in this regard, and a man who's disappointed really that we haven't been able to do anything, and he warned this was going to come up. It's not surprising. So there's acting director of the resource management unit of the Petroleum Commission, Francis Aka, who is featured alongside this story. There's more what is being done, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, all that recap in the Daily Graphic newspaper. It would be good for you to catch up. Let's see what's on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper now. 9 die in boat disaster at Okpalime in the Volta region. South story there says 9 people died, while others are yet to be accounted for in a boat disaster that occurred at Okpalime, a fishing community in the Ketakrachi district in the Volta region last Wednesday. The bodies of the deceased have been deposited at the Ketakrachi Government Hospital mortuary. Story also says that 5 others, including 2 children who survived the accident, are receiving treatments at the hospital. More of that on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Now let's do the Finder newspaper. After that, we'll do the Times, we'll do Roland's favorite, which is the Daily Guide, and then we'll do the Daily Dispatch and the Business and Financial Times. So let's do the Finder newspaper, front page of the Finder now. UGMC not completed. That's the University of Ghana Medical Center. Contractor agrees to complete outstanding works in 6 months if, well, details of that is in the paper. But there was a press statement that was issued yesterday. Quite a number of people surprised by the move, because remember, yesterday Roland and myself shared with you how a young student protested when the First Lady, as part of activities, took out a sword to begin a project at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. You know, the guy in a protest pulled out a placard, but he walked towards the First Lady, stopped at some points and pulled a placard which said, finish the facility. So I'm not quoting exactly what was on it, but essentially, you know, open the University of Ghana Medical Center now. Okay, so following that, this surprising press statement was issued yesterday, and that's what the Finder is talking about on the front page. But let me read details of that press release, and it's titled "Government Ready to Operationalize the University of Ghana Medical Center." Following the completion of work by the committee set up to operationalize the University of Ghana Medical Center, the government has set up an interim board chaired by Dr. Anafia Samuaba to liaise with the Turkey contractor to test run the equipment and operationalize the facility with immediate effect. As a first step, the interim board between now and July 2018 will complete the staffing process and ensure the provision of final logistics required for a smooth takeoff. Government, as chief stakeholder, shares in the public sentiment to operationalize the facility as soon as possible. It is, however, important to note that the above processes are completed to provide the best care for patients who will be patronizing the facility. Government has additionally secured funds to contract or to construct the phase 2 of the project, which will enable it to function optimally. So government wishes to state its commitment to providing quality healthcare to the people of Ghana. And this was signed by a Deputy Information Minister, Curtis Perry Kwabla Okujeto, and this came in yesterday. So, well, now we know they still insist that it's not quite completed, so we'll see how that goes. But still on the front page of the Finder, ESLA justifies Kelvini GVG contracts. NMC calls for civility in dealing with investigative journalism. China's Shanxi, I miss Roland province, to invest over $10 billion in northern region. He does well with the Chinese pronunciations, way better than I do. Reconsider creation of new regions, Imani to government. That story is on page 5 in the Finder newspaper. Perhaps a bit of that. It says policy think tank Imani Africa wants the government to reconsider its plan to create new regions and districts, as it will have a dire impact on the country. It noted that the move would bloat the size of government, which will translate into extra costs to the taxpayer. And who was speaking? You can check it out in the newspaper and fallout of that as well. Okay. 3 Operation Vanguard soldiers arrested for illegal operation, and I'm reading this from page 4 in the Finder newspaper. It says 3 military personnel said to be members of Operation Vanguard have been arrested at Wasa Ekropong in the Western region for allegedly embarking on an illegal operation at a Galamsey site in the area. So the 3 plus 4 other colleagues in military and police uniforms were said to have, on May 30, gone to a Galamsey site belonging to 47-year-old Mensa Sani, where they seized gold concentrates, popularly referred to as black. Owner of the site at about 4:15 a.m. the same day reported the matter to the police, which moved in to the area in pursuit of the 7 military personnel who were in a Toyota Hilux pickup, and they've given the registration number here. Surveillance was mounted on them at Wasa Japa, where the police got information that the suspect were moving towards Akropong. Details of that, how they actually arrested. And this is interesting because allegedly these are part of a group of military officers who are supposed to ensure that people don't do illegal mining. And so the police arresting the military. Interesting. But that's such a big blow. It's really, really disappointing. But there are a lot more stories in the Finder newspaper. Let's do the Ghanaian Times right now. Front page of the Ghanaian Times. 46 police personnel repatriated for sexual misconducts. And remember, they were on a peacekeeping mission, and then this story again broke our hearts because we know that the members of our forces who go on peacekeeping missions, there are always positive remarks. And we're told we have some of the best guys in Ghana. So it was such a disappointment. Story on page 10 says a total of 46 Ghanaian police personnel who were alleged to be involved in sexual misconduct during peacekeeping missions in South Sudan have been repatriated to Ghana by the United Nations. So they arrived in a chartered flight at the Kotoka International Airport on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. The Director General of the Public Affairs Directorate of the Ghana Police Service, Assistant Commissioner of Police David Senanu Eklu, confirmed the arrival to the Ghanaian Times in Accra yesterday. He said the team was repatriated on administrative grounds pending the conclusion of investigations by the UN. But the fact that they've been repatriated means a lot. It speaks volumes because they had been kept there secluded so that investigations could be carried out. The fact that they brought all 46 back to Ghana, we wait to see what the concluded investigation really would say. But a lot of people would say this concludes the matter. But you can read the rest of what he had to say to the Ghanaian Times in the paper. Back on the front page, stop attacks, threats of assault against Anas. That's a call from the Media Commission. Comes along. There's a picture of Kwesi Jan Apinting, who heads the Media Commission as its chair. 4 soldiers, policeman grabbed for extorting money from Galamseyers. Check your land title registration. Okay, that's an advertisement. But of course, you can check it out tomorrow. And then Ghana-Togo maritime border clash looms as Togo stops Ghana from operating in disputed area. Are we going to fight like we did with Cote d'Ivoire on this issue, or there's another way to settle this? Baba, Kente Weaver get 15 years for robbery, and this is inside the paper, but there's a little bit of it on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It says that Wanda Azar, 21, a Baba, and Alex Avowuto, 22, a Kente Weaver, have been sentenced to 15 years imprisonment for conspiring to attack an Okada operator with a knife and robbing him of his motorcycle. How did they exactly do it? Grab the paper and read the rest of the story. Biafra shutdown cripples Nigeria cities is also another story in the Times today. But on the back page, you have some sports stories. Adriana Stars beating the Chim. 1-0. Okay, so Benedict will be here to tell us how the matches went. But there's Kedichi's inter-allies worsen Hearts' plight. They beat my team 1-0. Yeah, so we're mourning. Ghana to produce more gas from June 26. Finally, something to smile about, apart from the Hearts of Oak losing right there. Let's do the Daily Guide. Let's do the Daily Guide now. Front page of the Daily Guide. Telco deal saves $86 million. according to Communications Minister. Now, what do you find today's different angles of that presentation before Parliament yesterday by the Communications Minister? So this is the angle that the Daily Guide chose. Also, I have more on my chest. Rawlings warns NDC. Stories on page 3, 6, and 7. It says former President Jerry John Rawlings says there are more greedy acts that members of his NDC perpetuated against the people of Ghana during their tenure that he has not revealed. Quotes, I have so much on my chest and you misrepresented and bastardized the truth, unquote, he said, warning that, quotes, it's not over, unquote. Mr. Rawlings disclosed this while responding to questions on recent comments against former President John Ajekun Kufuor and John Mahama at the second Revolutionary Lecture Series held yesterday at the National Theatre in Accra. So the former president was criticized by the public for reportedly describing Mr. Kufuor as evil and Mr. Mahama as a rogue. Now, yesterday, one of the things that a lot of us were also looking forward to was one of the guests that addressed this lecture yesterday, Dr. Kwesi Boche, making a comment as to whether or not he had entered the race to possibly becoming the presidential candidate of the NDC. But, as expected, no comments. We have to wait. So that's the front page of the Daily Guide. Not quite. There are other headlines there. Bank of Ghana top. Okay, so let's pause and listen to Dr. Kwesi Boche on whether or not he had entered the race. Is he going to? Is he not? We'll come back and, continue.
Are you joining the NDC race? Are you joining the NDC race?
It was out there that you're contesting.
It's okay.
Sorry. Are you joining the NDC collaboration?
It's okay.
Listen, I played a role in the investigation of the causes of the NDC's defeat. One of the problems that we had was that we found it was important to respect the party structures even as we restore their integrity. The party executives are going to very soon be releasing the guidelines for the selection of a flag bearer. It's important that the work of the restructuring of the party be done properly and that the integrity of the party structures be restored. The party executives at the national level are working on it. It's important that we do that. I'm very focused on that. That's where I am. I think it's important that we do so.
Okay, so sure he didn't give anything away right there. We still have to wait. Bank of Ghana top staff hots UN sacks sexy cops. I love the Daily Guide. See how they put it? UN sacks sexy cops. 10 killed in Volta Lake. But let's look at this Bank of Ghana top staff. It says Raymond Amanfo. There's a picture of a gentleman on the front page of the paper. Raymond Amanfo, he's called. But here is why he's there and why he's hot. The Economic and Organized Crime Office is currently investigating the circumstances under which monies disbursed by the Bank of Ghana in support of 2 liquidated banks were allegedly misapplied. Reportedly, some members of staff of the central bank are neck deep in the unfolding events, with the immediate past head of banking supervision department of the Bank of Ghana, Raymond Amanfo, being investigated by Iyoko. So that's why his picture is there. There's the Iyoko invitation, hiding information, official queries, all in here in the Daily Guide newspaper. So you can catch up with that story. But let's see the angle that the Daily Guide picks. Perhaps it has been confirmed that that police investigation has been concluded. And that's why the 46 police officers are back from Sudan. The sexy cops, I mean, and it's not from me, it's from the Daily Guide. It says 46 police personnel from the formed police units who were accused of sexual misconduct while on UN peacekeeping mission in South Sudan have been repatriated. Oh. Almost the same details. So is this has the investigation closed or it's still ongoing? I leave the rest to you. You can check out the angle in the Daily Guide newspaper. Let's do the Daily Dispatch, and then we'll do the Business and Financial Times, and quickly run on to the online portals. We begin from home, myjoyonline.com. But the Daily Dispatch front page: chairmanship race, Alhaji Short steps down. Blay cruising, is it, to victory with Boedu, Ewuku and Edia. So that's poster beneficing, making some bold statement right there, because Mr. Blay is not the only person in this race. There's also a man who's been chasing it, Stephen and team, for, he's done it for four times. We will see if he gets it or not. But it says that with the announcement by one of 3 contestants for the NPP national chairmanship race, Alhaji Abubakar Abdul Rahman, that he was stepping down, it is now between 2 leading members. The 2 are the acting national chairman, who steered the party to victory in 2016, Mr. Freddie Blay and Mr. Stephen Intim. So Alhaji Shorts wrote to the party, particularly the committee that's looking into, passing people in terms of getting them finally into the race. But do they have the letter here? It says below is a story about Alhaji Rahman, popularly known as Alhaji Short, stepping down. You can read about it in the Daily Dispatch newspaper. But this came certainly as a surprise, because remember that Stephen Intim had made some allegations that he had received calls from the president, so he would step down and make way for Alhaji Short. But of course, he said he wasn't going to do that. So we thought Alhaji Short was really, really in this race, only to hear yesterday that he had actually pulled out. We're told in the coming days we will get to know who he is supporting. So for now, those who are leading, Mr. Blay and Mr. Intim. But who replaces Zinedine Zidane? He gave a big blow yesterday. Benedict will be here. That story is also in the Daily Dispatch newspaper. JDM and the NDC. There's a story on that on page 3 in the Daily Dispatch. The final hardcore newspaper is the Business and Financial Times. And on front page, increase quotes sin tax. Sin tax is in red to augment NHIS. That's a call by Philips Africa CEO. Story is on page 3. Is interesting when you see sin tax. So the struggles of the National Health Insurance Scheme can be alleviated temporarily should government increase taxes on products such as tobacco, alcohol, and sugar, and use that revenue to supplement the scheme's funding. Called by Jasper Westering, the Philips Africa CEO. You can read the rest of what he had to say and how we can change things with the NHIS. But back on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, projects to plant 20 million trees launched. Oil money, school project stalls for 6 years. Lack of funds to blame. 10 partners consider second drilling rig. And then Esla Defense Kelvini GVG deal as quote the best on quotes. So these are front page stories. The Business and Financial Times. On the back page, Access Bank introduces borderless banking with new Access Africa Money Transfer Service. GMPC Rosneft signed 12-year gas supply agreements. And then Total Petroleum holds 42nd AGM. And that's it for the Business and Financial Times, and that will be it for the newspapers that we have in the studio. Please, you're welcome to send me messages either on WhatsApp or regular text message. We've got a couple of your messages. This one says, I wish the students of Kwabing RCJHS good luck in their BEC examination on Monday. Sir Chris from Achim Kwabing sending this message. And from Walanyo in Akwetia, Walanyo says, don't you think that the story would have been different if the placard had read, "Thank you, First Lady, for your concern. Thank you, students, for allowing Health Minister to operationalize UGMC. The placard has yielded a good result. Okay, I hear you, Walanyo in Akwetia. Thank you very much for the message that you sent to us this morning. If there's something on your chest that you want to, bring out, please send it to me. This one says, life is a gift from above. You will not get everything you want in life. Appreciate what you have. You will not be accepted by everyone. Value those who love you. You cannot please everyone in this world. Be the best you can be. So therefore, choose people having beautiful hearts rather than faces, because one beautiful heart is better than 1,000 beautiful faces. Have a wonderful, successful, and a fruitful day. I love the message, except that I'm not sure you didn't add your name. But thank you very much. It's a very inspiring message from you this morning. Here's another one. It's a bit long. Senate West, Kwame Dan. So that's where you are sending this message. And you're reminding us that you're also part of Ghana. I think you sent this message yesterday, and it's on planting for food and jobs. I'll come back to it. I think today you're sharing something else with us, so we'll come back to it. Let's do myjoyonline.com. We'll check out what's making headlines here. Cross-cultural public speaking, how personal branding translates across cultures. It'll be a good read. In Ukraine, suspect remanded in reporters' hoax death case. A lot of people still can't think around what happened in Ukraine. So that issue is still very much one of the very talked issues in the world today. Government moves to protect depleting fish stock, set to announce closed season. 3 soldiers caged for taking money from illegal miners. A big setback for Operation Vanguard, I guess. NDC government did not sign $1.2 billion NIA contracts. Deal with your incompetence. That's a former CEO of the NIA, the National Identification Authority, who's dismissed claims by members of the governing party that the previous regime left the organization with some huge debts. That's why they've had to promise and fail, promise and fail, promise and fail. How many times already? With our Ghana card. Okay, all right. $89 million GVG contracts. Government wants to be a citizen, not a spectator in telecom space. We're just running around with the words now, are we? South Africa outrage over naked school choir performance. Oops. So a naked school performance by a group of South African schoolgirls has led to calls for investigation by the country's education minister. And I know what somebody's thinking right now. Mama, show us the choir. Check it out on myjoyonline.com. That's if you can find the choir. Good luck to you. You want to see some naked choir this morning. Photo of the week in hard times, hard concrete comforts. That's the photo of the week on myjoyonline.com. All right, we've got lots more stories on myjoyonline.com that you can check out, including stories that you've missed here on Joy News. You can always make up. All right, we go to City Newsroom, and on that page, probe managers of June 3 disaster funds, victims to special prosecutor. Use media budget to reduce. Oh, that was really fast. Okay, let's just go through the top stories on the page. So government sets up interim board to operationalize UG Medical Center. Ghanaian peacekeepers accused of sexual misconduct repatriated. They're back home, 46 of them. Probe managers of June 3 disaster funds, victims to special prosecutor. And on June 3, on the anniversary day, we're told that some of the victims will gather at the location right there at Circle and also speak to some matters. They're suing already. They're in courts, trying to get some things out of that suit. So we'll see how that goes. Use media budget to reduce petroleum taxes further. A call by COPEC. GVG deal clean, ignore needless criticism. That's Communication Minister. And that will be it for City Newsroom. There are a few things that I want to share with you from the USA. And then there's something also brewing from Saudi. So let's start with the US because if you look at the headlines, it's almost like Trump is starting a global trade war. At least that's what they say now. It's getting some reactions. So America's biggest allies and trade partners are promising to fight back against US tariffs that threaten to spark a global trade war. The European Union, Canada and Mexico said Thursday that they will respond to new U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum with punitive measures targeting American products worth billions of dollars. It is one of the very trending issues worldwide right now because this kind of just kicked in a few hours ago. So America First is getting on to another level altogether. And then let's go to the BBC. Let's run through the BBC and see what they have this morning. Then I'll show you a picture about a Saudi princess posing in a beautiful car in some nice heels, but she's getting a lot of bashing. I'll show you the picture in a bit. Uganda imposes WhatsApp gossip tax. Finally, we're here with it. So the revenue raise is also intended to help pay off the country's growing national debts. This is the BBC Africa page. Algeria seizes cocaine on container ship. Outrage over naked school choir in South Africa. The education minister criticizes a cultural performance in which girls exposed breast and buttocks. Jammeh sued over bogus AIDS cure. Victims of a fake AIDS cure created by the Gambia's ex-ruler sue for him for damages. And then police sent to SA Gold Rush village. Rare blue whale spotted in Red Sea. Baggage handlers filmed opening barks. Biafra shut down cripples Nigerian cities. Men charged over presidential term limit. There are a lot of stories on the BBC Africa page that you can check out. Okay, so this is a picture and a story of a Saudi princess right there. Okay, this is it. This is really cute, but it's getting all the bashing. Princess Haifa bint Abdullah Al Saud on the controversial front cover. This is a Vogue cover photo of a Saudi princess behind the wheel of a red convertible, and it's ignited a heated debate following a string of arrests of women's rights activists. I think in the coming weeks, if not next week or in two, we would see that it will be legal for women in Saudi Arabia to drive. But there were people who advocated for this to happen finally, except that surprisingly, there have been quite a number of arrests as well of people, of women advocates. And there's very little information you can get out of there. The issue is dedicated to the trailblazing women of Saudi Arabia and launched the reforms launched by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who has sought to loosen social restrictions in the conservative kingdom and curb the powers of religious headliners. So that's what it is. But the image was criticized by campaigners protesting at the arrest in May of at least 11 activists, mostly identified by rights groups as veteran women campaigners for the right to drive and to send Saudi's male guardianship system. At least 4 of those activists were released last week, Amnesty International said, but the fate of the others remains unclear. And reports in state-backed media branded some of the detainees traitors and agents of embassies. So that's the update right there from Saudi. There are quite a number of things happening on the continent as well. There was a report this morning on the BBC about tramadol. We're battling with tramadol in Ghana, but in Nigeria, the situation is the same, if not worse. And so there was a report you can check out the other headlines. Just go to myjohnline.com. Good morning to Isaka Garu, CBR driver. You sent me a WhatsApp message this morning. Thank you very much. Here's another one that says, I wish the students of BPA Authority JHS who are going to write BEC well. May God grant them fearless hearts and retentive memory. Is from Hene in Bui. You're sending this WhatsApp message this morning. This one says, keep the good work. Okay. Please add your name when you send us a message. This one is on Alhaji Shot. Says, good morning. Alhaji Shot's decision to withdraw from the MPP chairmanship race is a big blow to his family, to his friends, and to the whole northern part of Ghana. I am so disappointed. And that's disappointment is coming from Zion in Wa. Another one says, can you find out for us about Ghana Fire Service? We bought their forms. Up till now, we have not heard. And it's from Aziz in Bolga. This one wishing, I wish all the final year students of Bosom Cheche MAJHS all the best and good luck in the upcoming BC exams. It's from Apau Kwejo Simon, a headmaster of Bosom Cheche MAJHS, and I really hope that I did pronounce that well. This one says best of luck. So we're getting best wishes going out to people who will be writing the BEC beginning Monday. This one is from Asibit Dauda, Upper East. Youth are strongly behind you, for the battle is the Lord's. I agree. A. Jonas inside Warrianga, aka the General. Okay, maybe two more. Benedict will bring us sports in the bits. Okay, so let's read more of your messages on WhatsApp. Somebody's asking for updates on a certain situation. But you, first of all, you accuse me that I'm not reading your messages. Okay, so you want an update on which exactly? I have to go back to your earlier message. So people take the law in their own hands. Is Haji Afati above the laws of Ghana? Even if the journalist is a supporter of Mr. Crab, what powers has she got? Okay, so that's the situation where you want an update. Certainly, we will come back to you with some updates on this issue. This one is also wishing OBC candidates in the Jamai North District success in their forthcoming exams. The dilapidated nature of all the roads in and around Sampa, the district capital and the biggest border town in Ghana, and the chief producer of cashew in Ghana, is more a disgrace than a pride. Leaders should be up and doing for us. It's from Sir Pula in Sampa, sharing that with us. Lots and lots of your messages, so let's read. I want to read more of your messages, so let's try and do justice with a lot more of your messages. But if you keep the messages short, I think it will be, I would love it that way, so that it will be easy to read. This one says the stepping down of Chairman Short will be a recipe for disaster to MPP. We, the NDC, are happy. It's from Kweku in Kumasi. But Kweku, you are NDC, so how do you know that it will be a disaster? This one also says, good morning. The health minister is not speaking on the medical laboratory sciences issue. Oh, you are. Oh! How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm in your pocket still, eh?
Yeah,
that's why you can come and stand by me and I'll really see.
You're still in my pocket.
Yeah?
You know, I admire you so
let me,
okay,
thank you, darling. Let me finish this message because I started it. It says the health minister is not speaking on the medical laboratory sciences because they are pushing the patients to private hospitals and private labs, making their monies. Most of the labs, that's an accusation that you're making, but I get what you're saying because that issue is still very much unresolved. And of course, the lab technicians are not happy. Benedict.
Yes, Mama.
How are you?
I'm good.
Where's Christianity? I'm well.
Okay, so this is the third time you're asking me that.
Yeah.
One.
No updates still?
Yeah, he's still here. He's here.
But he's still not talking.
No, he's not talking to
I'll
me.
ask her to say something.
All right, well, no wait.
What happened to Zidane?
Well, Zidane is gone.
Did you see it come? Did anybody see it coming?
No, I predicted it because back in February, he mentioned that if he realizes there is nothing more to win, he will walk away.
Okay.
And what's there to win again? In his 2.5 years stay at the club, he's won 9 trophies. And anytime you say that, you have to say shout outs to the Arsenal fans as a manager, because for a manager to be in charge of a club 22 years and
That's
win
not
10
fair.
titles.
That is not fair.
Oh, this one 2.5 years,
fair.
he's won 9.
I think for the first time, I will speak for Arsenal.
UEFA Champions League back to back to back.
But the kind of money and the spending and the culture is not the same.
Oh
It's
no,
the
not
same.
at all. It's not the same.
They are not nurturing talent.
But for Zidane, I mean, he's done so well, and I think I agree with him. To leave at this point is very good. You know what they always say?
How many Champion League caps?
3.
And it was when?
Yeah.
As in back to back to back.
3
Has anybody done it?
No.
And people still say he's not.
The first manager
he's
to
not
do
a
that.
fantastic
Well, other managers
coach.
have won 3. Carlo Ancelotti and also Bob Paisley, former Liverpool manager.
But not back to back like
not
that.
back to back to back.
Yeah.
But Zidane has done that.
Yeah.
And
He's
you
a
always
great
have to leave
coach.
when the applause is what?
Loudest.
That's the best thing.
Okay, so it's our friend. The guy who was changed and who headlined, even when Ronaldo was in the game. What is his name? The English guy.
Gareth Bale.
Yes.
Bale, yeah.
Is he leaving or he's staying?
Well, Gareth Bale, after the game, mentioned that would want to play week in, week out.
Yeah.
And he doesn't see that happening at Real Madrid. So if he's not going to get that, then obviously he'll leave. But if he's assured of playing week in, week out, I'm sure he will stay. But if not, he definitely will leave and probably maybe will join your team, Manchester.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard
He's
that.
a good player.
I heard that it's true. And
Yeah, he's
he'll
a
be
very
home.
good player.
It will be good to have him. That would be
Well,
nice.
he's from Wales, so
Yeah.
it'll be very
But what
nice.
else are we talking about?
Well, yesterday, Ghanaian Times, they have it. Kenichi's Interallies Wilson Hearts
whatever.
flight. So we hear
Whatever.
from Kenichi and also
Whatever.
Atlanta Stars picked Bichim United. 2 matches were played in the Premier League. We also look
Yeah.
forward to the Premier League. And then the first game of the NBA Finals played yesterday. LeBron was in. Very, very interesting. Yeah,
But it didn't go well for
Yeah,
him.
it didn't go well.
Yeah.
They lost 124, 114.
Yeah.
So we'll talk
So
about
that's
that.
it?
No, that's not it. We're going to go through 7. But if Golden State Warriors should win 3 in a row, then it means we call it off, and then they will be crowned champions. But you know how it is, like with the NBA Finals, there are more games to go, so we'll see how we go.
And Serena was also in action.
Yeah, she was in
She
action
was
and
down, but she picked herself up
and
like
she won. Yeah.
mostly does.
And so we talk about all these and look ahead to what's happening this weekend.
Definitely. So detailed sports coming your way, after which is UN Global Day of Parents, and we've assembled some great parents who is also very knowledgeable in other areas. We're going to be sharing experiences, so stay with us. If you're a parent, if you're proud parents, we're going to share the good, the ugly, the horrible, all of that here on the show this morning. It will be good, so stay with us.